Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about how to make the most out of your practice time, out of your music time. I know when I first started teaching, I didn't quite know what to do when it came to a lesson. I remember even like the first few lessons I taught them, like, what are we going to do for an hour, right? It was kind of overwhelming because there's only so many times you can play the same piece, right? But what I've learned over the years and working with so many students and so many teachers and getting some great advice and picking up so much knowledge from different sources and schools and teachers is when you have a great practice session, you really get everything done and it doesn't feel overwhelming. So today I want to go over some of the key points of what to do in a music practice session to make sure, number one, you cover everything. Number two, you maintain your students or your child's interest. And also too, that you have fun, right? Because part of music is not just, hey, I got to teach something. It's kind of that boring idea we have of just like, oh, I got to teach something, repeat it, practice. I never liked that, like, practice. I just feel like you kind of taking the beauty away from learning something, right? Learning something should be a wonderful experience, and learning music is no different. So we're just going to go over those sections in each music time and each lesson to make sure, again, that you're covering everything. You keep it entertaining. You make sure you go over all the key points of a successful music lesson. And again, going back to that, make sure that you as a parent or as a teacher enjoy it as well and have a good time. So the first thing we want to do is have an introduction to the lesson. You want to start the lesson off with something that kind of kicks it off, warms it up. And the best way I love to do that, especially if you're teaching young children, is to listen to music, to sing to music. Because again, singing is just a great way to connect, right? We all when we're alone listening to music in the car or in the house, we all sing, right? Singing is just kind of something as humans we all do. And it's just a wonderful way to warm up and listening to maybe the song that you're working on that day. So if you're working with a really young child and you're going to listen to play Twinkle Twinkle or learn Twinkle Twinkle, listen to that. Listen to a couple of different versions, right? Especially with YouTube, there's so many different versions of every song. Nothing is stopping you from, let's listen to one version. Let's see this version. Maybe it's a different type of singer, a different rhythm. Some are fast, some are slow. And it just kind of kicks off the session. And that should take about maybe like 5 to 7 minutes about. And just, again, warms you up, gets you in the musical mood and kind of gets things moving when it comes to learning. Then you can do the middle section of each lesson, which is the practical, the application. And this is where you would go over if you're learning. Again, to stick with the example of Twinkle Twinkle, that would need 6 notes, right? Because you need C, D, E, F, G, and A. So you would review, if you're at that point in lessons with your child or your student, you would go over those notes, ask them a couple of kind of quizzes, what note is this, E, what note is this, F, and play some warm-up exercises, and then work on the song itself. And as always, we talk about it a lot in different lessons. Make sure you break it up into small chunks, because playing an entire song from beginning to end, even for adults, if I'm playing the piano, no matter what I'm playing, to play something from beginning to end is really, really difficult. It's very challenging. And that's not how music works. Really, that's not how any type of learning works in life. You really want to break it up into small, manageable chunks. It's a style of learning called chunking. And then you could piece it together, right? If you start, in the case of Twinkle Twinkle, you'd go. You could practice just that and repeat that again. And you repeat that. I always like the number 5, just to repeat it 5 times. Once they can play that pretty smoothly, or just about smoothly, you go to the next session. And then you repeat that again. And then you finally put that together. And then there you have half the tune. And again, you get the idea, right? You piece it together. So that's a pretty involved portion of the lesson. So that takes up good, depending on how much time you have, but it takes about 15, 20 minutes, right? So that's nice. You can play it for them. They can try it if you're doing it on the xylophone or the piano, whatever instrument you're doing it on. And you just have this wonderful time of actually being practical. You do need to focus on that piece. Sometimes students unknowingly, they'll kind of veer off and kind of lose focus, and they'll want to go, hey, what about this? So that's too hard. That happens, of course. That happens to all of us. But you need to kind of gently guide them back and bring them back to what you're working on. And even if they go a little bit off on a tangent, maybe follow them for a few seconds and then be like, okay, great. And then you come back. So again, that's the center section. That's a practical. And you try to play it. If they can't fully play it, you can end that section with you playing it and singing along, but definitely do a sing-along. And then the last section of a music session or music lesson is your transition to whatever other activity that you want to do. For kids, it's really important to be able to transition into an activity. That's why we do the listening in the beginning and the singing. And then the transition into whatever activity you have next, right? It could be just a regular kind of play activity, or it could be an academic activity, or even if it's dinner time or whatever time it is in your home. But you want to have a transition. Kids really respond well to transitions between activities. And the best way to do that, again, is to have a listening, singing time. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the song you worked on. In this case, you can ask them, oh, what do you want to sing? What songs do you want to sing? And it really sparks their imagination and creativity to want to seek out songs or tell you what their favorite is. And perhaps that can be kind of a guide for what the next lesson can be. You always want continuity between lessons, and that's the best way to do music. And I always tell parents and I always tell teachers, if kids and students aren't inspired by music, then we're doing something wrong as teachers, right? Because music is beautiful. It's something that inspires all of us. It brings so much beauty to all of our lives. So we want to keep it motivated, inspirational, keep kind of that wonder aspect of we're learning and what did you learn? Have them explain it to their siblings. A lot of times I always, if it's a brother and sister that are learning, I always tell them, why don't you show your sister what you learned today? Or the parents or your dad or your mom what you learned today. And it kind of creates this wonderful dynamic within the family. So I hope these tips help. I know when I first started teaching, I needed guidance. I really didn't know how to structure a lesson, so I was kind of just wing it. But there are better methods and evidence-based methods, and having these sections in a lesson are definitely one of them. So I hope you guys got something out of this, and I hope you're having a great music time, enjoying your music time as a family with your students, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.